All right, let's get to work on cleaning up that spin out of yours. So, as I mentioned in the video, and I think you already know this, but so we're on the same page. What is a spin out, right? It's all happening with an imbalance in our sequence. What's the sequence? The sequence of the pivot, in my opinion, would be lateral shifting mixed with rotation, right? So we're going to shift it into the trail side, turn, which we have some feelings there for sure, and then a bigger shift is what we need into the lead side before we turn through. So I would argue a spin out is maybe this shift, turn, not quite enough shift there, and then a turn where we kind of spin out there, and then your knees kind of go that way, right? And you kind of spin out a little bit, pulls the path to the left. So what do we want to do about it? Well, I really, based on the video, what we're seeing, I think we're shifting well into the trail side, but then we're just continuing to shift away from the target with our pressure as we turn. So we saw that trail hip continuing to bump past, or I guess the trail side, continuing to bump past as you continue to turn to the top of the backswing there. So what we need is a good shift into the trail leg by 2, maybe 3. Honestly, I like the idea of you exaggerating it to start to kind of combat the current pattern, and then we can balance you back out as needed, right? So let's say by 2 here, shaft parallel on the takeaway, we're going to get a good shift into the trail side. So I want the feeling that you have maybe 70 to 80% of your weight in the right leg at this point in time. From here, I'm going to use that pressure I put there to now push myself back to my lead leg. So to exaggerate this and rebalance yourself out, let's just go with like percentages of weight, right? So I want to be 70 to 80% of my weight in the trail right leg by the end of the takeaway. Now what I want to feel is by the top of the backswing, I'm back to almost 60% in this left leg, right? The feeling is, actually I was watching a video this morning, I've seen like Charles Howell III talk about, good thought for us. He was doing it more with irons, but I think this applies to not spinning out. Imagine where your belt buckle is. You want to get pressure into the right leg and then proceed to push your trail hip to where your belt buckle started, laterally speaking, right? So get the pressure in my right leg and then push this right hip joint to where the belt buckle started. So this way, right? What that's going to help us do is I drew those like diagonal lines off your thighs, right? You're going to push into this trail side and then bang, as you get that hip back to where the belt buckle was, you're going to instantly create that movement where you're going to start pushing back into the lead side. And like Rory, we need this left leg to almost push past where that original hip line or thigh line started, right? So pressure into the right leg. We're going to push this hip and right side back into the left. So by the top of the backswing, you're getting that left hip back over the foot completely, knees kind of stacked on top. To overdo it a little bit, I almost like the idea that you're drifting too far forward, and then through the strike, you can start to push this left hip up and back, right? The idea of pushing your left hip up and back through the strike right now is crazy because that would contribute to the spin out. So again, like it's hard to be perfect with anything. So my opinion is like lay it on thick, and as you practice this, smoother swings. As a drill, I like the idea of, let me just grab a tee here real quick. So I'll use one of these golf balls right here. As a drill, I kind of like the idea that you maybe just chunk it up a little bit, and I'll demonstrate what I mean by that, right? So we'll go set up, pressure shift into the trail leg, pause, lean heavy into the left leg by the top of the backswing, and then push up and through to hit the ball from there. So that would be like a chunk drill where I come to complete stops, and I like that to get like the base feeling in there. When I think of chunking the swing into steps, I think about like learning a dance routine. I would argue that dance teaches complex movement the most efficiently, right? So what do you have to do? You have to learn the steps. Then you start to link the steps together. Then you speed it all up. And that's exactly what we want to do here, right? So our steps would be 1, into the trail leg, 2, back into the lead leg by the top of the backswing. Because again, that would create this feeling that we're almost drifting too far forward and down. And then you can push up and out more powerfully. Not that you need the power. We need this for balance, right? But then, so 1, 2 into the lead leg, 3 kind of, we'll just call it up. I don't think you need to feel any of the back unless you need to, again, because you're already spinning out. So it'd just be 1, laterally into the right leg, 2, back laterally, maybe a little bit down into the left leg, and then up through it. All right, cool. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, it's all about trying to get that trail hip to drive back. If the trail hip drives back, then that left leg starts to bump over the foot back into that wall or line that we drew. All right, keep up the good work. Let me know.